I was also more along the lines of a 7-year deal. I've always said that. To me, 7 was the number. I think that's a nice, lengthy time. And where I agreed with you was, I said, if they did that, if the Yankees did that, if the Mets did that, you're on board with it because of the age. It makes sense. They're still in their mid-30s when they're done with it. I've thought about this a lot, and I actually went through, just because we're talking about Bryce Harper at the moment, I went through his numbers over the last 4 years. I mean, I could go back to when he's 20 years old, but it gets a little silly at the time. For $30 million a year, to lock a guy up, guaranteed, for the next decade, and you're telling me more. I mean, this could be $350.
Well, Bob Nightingale's telling us more. Yeah.
No, I get it. So if you're telling me it's $35 million a year, don't you want better than a .249 batting average, 34 home runs, 100 RBIs, and 103 runs scored? And I'm not saying that's bad. Don't misunderstand what I'm saying. But why is that worth $35 million a year? Go.
Well, I think that the batting average is something that most teams and analytics guys, they throw out the window. They're looking more at on-base percentage and OPS.
I gave you 100 RBIs, 103 runs scored. I can find other guys that do that for a hell of a lot less than $35 million.
Yeah,
He's going to strike out 200 times.
Sure.
And I know you want to go back, you can call me up and you'll say, well, 2017, he batted .319. You're right. 29 home runs, 87 RBIs. He's a great player. I'm not saying he's not. But if you want to know why it's taking so long for these guys to get these deals, because you look at these numbers, they're great players, but how does that equate to $35 million a year?
Well, because it did in the past in baseball. A guy like that.
But it shouldn't have.
Right, okay, but that's why. I mean, once that precedent is set, then everybody says whatever analogy you want to use, the genie back of the bottle, the toothpaste back of the tube, it's impossible to do. And now I think that the Major League Baseball was getting close to doing that. But now, I mean, if this does happen and you see the Phillies sign him for, let's say, 10 years, $320 million or whatever it is, that's more than 10 years, $300 million. We went from the players talking about striking or walking out mid-season.
Yes, that's been a big topic this weekend. Yes.
Walking out mid-season to their number 1 or number 2 free agent target getting the money that he expected and then some. I mean, so
but again, he was offered the money he wanted early on.
Right.
So that's why this whole thing is a sham. Manny Machado was offered a monster deal from the White Sox, but he doesn't want to go to Chicago. Well, tough. You can't sit there and have it both ways, that I'm not getting the money I think I deserve and should get, when you've got teams that are offering it, at least on an annual basis. Maybe not 10 years, but if they offer you $240 for 8, come on.
Well, that's honestly, exactly what was reported also, Bob.
It's ridiculous.
By Bob Nightingale. He said the Padres offered a Manny Machado an 8-year deal worth at least $240 million with money deferred.
That's $30 million a year. So you can't sit there and scream one way when you have it another. It doesn't make sense.
Well, there's also other guys, too, where you have people that are still out there. Craig Kimbrell still hasn't been signed. Dallas Keuchel still hasn't been signed.
Well, maybe
Last
they
year,
want too much money.
Well, I agree. I know. But this is the issue where if you're on the player side and you're saying, okay, look at these franchises that are making money hand over fist. Look at all the digital money that's coming in that MLB is always pumping their fists about with their app and everything, which they do a really nice job with. And then we are the stars that are carrying the league, and you're all of a sudden deciding not to pay us because there's a bunch of dorks in the front office that think that they could do it a different way. I mean, that's just their side of it. I agree. If this is what the market is for you, then this is what the market is for you. You can't. What are you going to do about it? There is no recourse outside of a work stoppage. With that, probably won't work for you either.